Hey guys, it's Mr. V over here doing a book review today for Leslie Jones's Memoir. Before I get into my book review, I want you to know that today's book review, I'll be reviewing the audiobook, not the hard copy. And the reason I'm doing that is the audio version has a lot more. The audiobook is 17 hours long, which they said is 5 extra hours of material. So that's why I did the audio version. And something else you should know, before I went into this book, or before I got into the book, I actually did not know much about Leslie Jones. I knew very little. I'd heard of the name, I had known just very little about her, so I didn't know much about her, and it was recommended by Audible, so that's why I gave it a try. It won some awards on Audible, so I was like, okay, I'll give it a try because I'm also interested in the life of entertainers. Just the type of the things they do, and she's a comedian, so I was curious about the life of that, and I actually enjoy going into biographies, not knowing much about the person because it's fun going into this the unknown. And I would say that it was a lot of fun in this book. This book was a lot of fun, especially because this audiobook was read by her, and that made it way better because basically she is telling you the stories and you get her emotions when you're listening to this book. She laughs in it, you hear her excitement, sometimes she's crying, or you could just feel her when she'd give a sigh, things like that. You can just feel it, and that's why I feel like you get a lot more, because it just feels like a conversation. When I was listening to this book, it just felt like she was having a conversation with me. But be aware that she is very straightforward, and some may find her over the top or a little too direct. So, that's just something, I was fine with it, but I just want you to be prepared for that. I think if you go in with that mindset, I think you'll be fine. But, because I found it fun, but some people, may be offended. So just be aware of that. But, overall, I thought this was a great biography, because it was very entertaining when she was telling how she grew up. And, even though I didn't know who she was, she still gave a lot of entertaining stories. And that's why I thought this was a great biography, because she just kept giving a lot of entertaining stories. And I think people who know her, will even get a lot as well. Because one thing for people who know her, before she got into the entertainment industry, before she was a comedian and an actor, she even played college basketball. That's something that I think people who even know her probably don't know much about. And then you get to hear the behind the scenes of stuff like that. So that's why I say there's a lot to this biography that's a lot of fun for people who don't know her, but even for people who know her. Because you also just kind of see how it was being a black girl growing up in the 1970s and the 80s. And she is truthful about everything, the good and the bad. As I told you, she's very direct, but yeah, that's why she tells you the good and the bad. But it's also, this book was very entertaining to see how she got into comedy, how she became a stand-up comedian. Because as I told you, she played college basketball. So it's a very interesting transition to see how did you go from college basketball to becoming a comedian? And then, it's just interesting to see how she started. That was a lot of fun, just seeing, it was a lot of fun seeing how she started, because it was not easy for her. And I already know this for comedians, that it's a very tough industry. And you get to see the behind the scenes, how it was not easy for her, the difficulties that she faced as a comedian, and how many years she had to devote to this, and just have such devotion, and basically how she rose up and what she learned as she was becoming famous. And that was really cool. And then another really cool part of this book is when she became an actor on Saturday Night Live, or SNL. That was super, super cool section. Because she tells you what it is like behind the scenes. And SNL has been a show for so many years, and it's going to continue. But she tells you what it is like behind the scenes, how it is filmed, how the actors talk to each other, but how they decide what to write, and how they wrote it, how it's taped, what makes it to air, how much is cut, and just again how the actors interact with each other, how the writers and the actors interact. And you just see a behind the scenes look and she devotes a lot of time to it, or not devotes a lot of time, but she devotes a decent amount of time to it. And I would say that was one of the best parts of the book, just because you got to see a behind the scenes of such a legendary show that will continue. And I bet you the same things are going to continue. So that's why that was such a cool section, seeing that. And I just think that, you know, anyone who's thinking of going into the entertainment industry should definitely read this book, because, you know, she shows you the behind the scenes of like what it was like as a comedian or as an actor, and she shows you that. But overall, you know, it's just fun because she had like such crazy and eventful life. You know, that it was really cool because she had many crazy stories. Some are funny, some are sad, some are just adventurous, and just, she was just all out crazy. It was just, when you read her life, you'll just be like, wow, like she had a crazy life. And it was a lot of fun hearing about it. And like there's some funny stories. Like one funny story, I'll give you an example. One funny story is that even when she was on SNL and she was already famous, how she would become starstruck when she would see like another celebrity, and she'd become like starstruck and almost like could not speak to them. And it's just like, we don't think of that as just like an everyday person, but like even famous people get starstruck by other famous people. So, you know, that was just a lot of fun. And another cool part of the book is that she actually gives just advice on life, and like based off of her personal stories, she just gives advice on life. So that was another cool part of the book. Now, some of the areas I did not like about the book. I felt that there was way too much cursing in this. Like, she was almost cursing every other word. And I felt she just cursed way too much. But I guess you can say that that's just who she is. But still, you know, I think it takes away from the story a little bit when you're cursing that much. But again, that's who she is. So, you know, maybe that's, you know, that just fits the story because that's who she is. And another thing I didn't like was that the chapters were super long. As I said, I'm reviewing the audio version of it, but the audio versions, all the chapters were like 1 or 2 hours long. So that's why you can see the chapters are super long, so I couldn't always finish a chapter. Sometimes you don't have an hour and a half to listen to the book. So that was something else that I felt probably could have been edited a bit. Maybe the actually hardcover is a little different, but I'm not sure. Again, I'm just commenting on the audio. And overall, though, her writing style, it was very easy to understand. She kept you engaged. I said, like, it felt like she was talking to you, so she really kept you engaged. And while there was a lot of cursing, I still thought it was a very fun book. You know, she gave a lot of different stories. And, you know, I just definitely recommend this book to people who are interested in the life of an entertainer. Basically, you get a behind the scenes look of the life of an entertainer as a comedian and as an actor. You just got to see that, and you see the struggles and then the success. And that's always cool because you want to see the success as well. So it's really cool. And that's why I recommend this to people who are just interested in the life of an entertainer. And I also recommend the audio version of this book because you get so many extra things. I don't know what she cut out in the hardcover version. I don't know what she cut out, but the audio version was great because it also felt like she was talking directly to you, and you just felt so much more emotion. And I think that made it a lot more fun, and it just kept you a lot more engaged when you could really hear her. So, you know, overall, you know, I just thought this was a fun book, had a bunch of crazy stories. You see the kind of crazy life she lived, and you know, I would definitely recommend this book for many people, especially if you're interested in the life of an entertainer. I definitely would recommend this book. If you guys have any questions or comments, you know, please post it in the comment section below. Hope you guys click the subscribe button, as I always upload multiple different types of book reviews. But thank you for watching my book review today. This is Mr. V. Go enjoy reading.